You all know I've kept it real with you about this economic crisis that started back in March, when everybody was saying how great the CARES Act is and how we need to pass it immediately. I told you it was a corporate scam. It was just a heist to give taxpayer money to the richest people in the country, richest corporations in the country. When the progressives in Congress were pretending like like there was some great shit in the CARES Act and everybody should be leaping for joy, I told you they were full of shit. When those same people were coming out and saying, "Oh, don't worry, we know the CARES Act didn't go far enough, and it didn't do everything that we need, everything that's necessary to address the economic crisis or to address the pandemic. Oh, but we'll get to that stuff later. Don't worry. This is just so we can get money out right now. But as soon as this bill passes, we're working on another one. All the good stuff are going to be in there." That's what they were telling us, right? I told you that was bullshit back then too. When everybody in the media was going around and pretending for 7 months like there were some actual serious negotiations to provide real economic relief to people during this crisis, I came out here and told you nobody involved is actually serious about trying to pass another stimulus bill. I've been saying that for 7 months now. I have some bad news, and I'm going to keep it real with you guys like I always do. The way I see it, there's basically no chance that any stimulus bill gets passed until February, at least, at the earliest February. And that's if when Democrats possibly take control of the Senate. That's if Republicans don't do what they do best and become top tier obstructionists. So I know a lot of people are out there stringing you guys along and acting like you see the headlines, progress made in negotiations or negotiations moving slowly. I'm just going to keep it real with you from right now. Like I said, there will be no stimulus bill until February. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this. But first, you guys know I was one of the people who lost their jobs when all of this started. I'm also one of the millions of people who were denied unemployment and didn't even get a stimulus check. So right now, the show is my main source of income. So whatever you guys can do to help out, I have the links to my Patreon account in the About page of my YouTube channel. You could subscribe and pay monthly to support me and to support the channel. If you want to do a one-time contribution, I also have a link to my PayPal in the About page of my YouTube channel. And I greatly appreciate all the amazing people in my audience who have contributed in those two ways over the last few weeks. It really means more to me than I can put into words. And I'm also doing a partnership with this company called Mask Up, where I get a special link. That link is also in the About page of my YouTube channel. And if you guys click the link and go to their website and purchase one of their reusable cloth masks, I get 20% of whatever your purchase is. So the masks are about $17, and it's a good price for a reusable cloth mask, and everybody has to wear them inside anyway. So if you're looking for a cloth mask, you can purchase one from Mask Up, and I'll get 20% commission. So now back to this story. The way it's looking, Donald Trump is likely to lose this election to Joe Biden. If that happens, that means the Senate's also likely to go majority Democrat. We'll get to how the Democrats, when they get in office, they aren't going to do shit anyway. I'll get to that later. But once that happens, once the election results are in and it's clear that Trump lost and the Republicans no longer have control of the Senate, they have absolutely no incentive to pass any stimulus bill during the lame duck session, which is the time after the election and before the inauguration and when the new Congress is sworn in. If they haven't done anything 7 months before an election, when they couldn't take this and brag about it and say, guys, look what we did for you. Come out and vote for us in the election. If that wasn't enough incentive for them, on top of the real suffering that's going on in the country that we see, if none of that was incentive enough for them to pass the stimulus for 7 months, why does anyone think they would do it after the election? Because now it's not their problem anymore. Now, especially with Trump, if the American people rebuke him in the way that it looks like they're about to, and give Joe Biden some kind of massive win in the election, Trump will just tell everybody, all right, go fuck off. Don't come looking for me for help for the next 3 months. I'm not doing shit for you. And if you think, hey, man, that's a cold, callous way to think about providing economic relief to people who desperately need it in this country, I agree with you. But have you seen Donald Trump? He is one of the most cold, callous, and petty people you can find. So you embarrass him and make him a one-term president, the first time since George H.W. Bush, we have a one-term president. That is such a stinging rebuke to somebody who only cares about optics and how he's perceived. Yes, he's going to be bitter. And like I said, he's petty. So he'll take that as a personal slight and be like, fuck the country. They didn't come out and vote for me. They didn't come and reelect me. So I'm not going to help them. And he'll sit back and he'll let the country burn, because he can, at the end of the day, he can throw his hands up and say, it's not my problem anymore. There'll be a new president in a couple months. That's his mess to deal with. So I think it's important that I let the audience know what the reality is, what the situation is, so that you guys can prepare yourself for what's about to come, because it is going to be a dark winter in this country. It will be brutal for the millions of people in this country who are at the end of their rope and have absolutely and are completely financially ruined and have no way of putting food on the table for their kids. You should all know that 3 months are going to go by, at least 3 months are going to go by, with really no chance of any assistance coming to you from the federal government. So you should just know that. I'm really sitting here at a loss for words, because the amount of unnecessary suffering that is being inflicted on the American public right now, and that is going to be exacerbated in the coming months with absolutely no help in sight. It is unreal for me to see what's happening right now. I've been watching it for the last 7 months. I've been covering it. I've been breaking it down for you guys. And I am still at a loss for words at the callousness and the complete disregard for the American people that our political leaders have shown in this unprecedented time of crisis. They have hung us out to dry. The worst economic crisis in history. The only thing that they did in terms of the economy was pass a giant corporate scam, a fucking heist, to give trillions of dollars to the richest people in the country, and scraps, cheese in the trap, to distract everybody else from the major heist that was going on. That was all they did. And it's going to be maybe another year until they pass anything else. This is unbelievable. And it's not like it's just one person. It's not like it's Donald Trump holding it up by himself. It's not like it's just Mitch McConnell and everybody else is trying to get a deal. Nobody involved is actually serious about getting a deal. Nobody involved is actually serious about providing necessary economic relief in this time of crisis. Nobody. Not Nancy Pelosi, not Joe Biden, not Bernie Sanders in the Senate, not Elizabeth Warren, all these so-called elected progressives, not the Justice Democrats in the House, Ilhan Omar. AOC, Rashida Tlaib, none of them are actually fighting to help the American people right now. So if this is how the government reacts in a time of crisis, when we need them the most, then I don't know how anybody can try to refute the point that I've been making on the show, that at this point, the government is illegitimate. They aren't working for American people. In fact, they're working against the American people. They're using their power to screw over the American people and make the situation worse. How is this a legitimate government? And of course, the stands out there defending the elected progressives like AOC and Bernie Sanders, whenever we make these criticisms, that they're just as much of the part of the problem as everyone else. They're going along with the screwing of the country just like everybody else. When you make that point, you get people coming out there trying to defend them, saying, oh no, they're doing everything in their power. What do you expect? They're in the minority. They're just a handful of people. Of course, they can't do anything to actually get economic relief to people. They're doing everything they can. They're just limited. That's the argument that they make. They're doing everything they can. Point to me what Bernie and AOC have done over the last 7 months to actually get a people's bailout. Go ahead, tell me. I'd love to know. Besides writing amendments that they know are dead on arrival, and then again, just leaving them there to die, not even fighting for them. Instead, besides doing that, what else have they done? Oh, I'll write an amendment saying, oh, we should have UBI. And then I'm not going to actually fight for it. I'm not going to actually push my leadership of the Democratic Party to do it. I'm not going to pressure anybody to actually force this into any kind of bill. I'm just going to write this amendment and, hey, what happens, happens. You can say, at least I can say I did something, right? That's all they've done. And what, go on Twitter, tweet some stuff? The extent of their pressure campaign has just been to go on Twitter and blame Mitch McConnell and blame Donald Trump and make it a partisan issue and completely ignore the fact that the Democrats are just as bad and they also share a giant portion of the blame for this current situation. For 7 months, I have not heard one of them call out Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer or any of the Democrats for denying a people's bailout. Not once. All you get is these partisan hacky tweets. Oh, look, it's Republicans. Oh, it's Donald Trump and all that stuff. If that's the best they got, don't tell me that's that's all they can do. These are and I make this point all the time. These are two of the most popular politicians in the entire country. They have the biggest following of any politician in the country. Are you seriously telling me that a senator, 1 out of 100 people in the country who's part of the United States Senate, a powerful senator and the most powerful freshman congressperson in history, are you seriously telling me that the best they can do is write dead on arrival amendments, not push for them, and then tweet about Donald Trump and Republicans on Twitter? That's all they got? Because if that's what you're telling me that those two powerful people, powerful politicians, have the same amount of power as just some regular ass person on Twitter. And I don't believe that. If they wanted to, if they had the drive, if they had the fire in them to do it, they would have been having a knockdown, drag out fight since the CARES Act. Bernie, when he's running for president, you hear this from him, but it's all talk. When he says, oh, what are you going to do when Joe Manchin blocks Medicare for all? Oh, we're going to go to Joe Manchin's state. We're going to shit talk Joe Manchin. We're going to badmouth him. And we're going to make it so that he feels the pressure from his constituents. And either he caves to that pressure or we run him out of office. We bring in protests and strikes to Joe Manchin's state until we get what we want. That's what he was saying. All that tough talk sounded like a big tough guy, right? Where's any of that right now? Why don't you bring all that same energy to everybody who's blocking a UBI? Bring that same energy to everyone who's blocking Medicare for all, everyone who's blocking rent, mortgage, and debt cancellation. Bring that same energy of we're going to raise hell. It will rain fire and brimstone until we get what we want. Bring that same energy. You've had 7 months and none of that. I haven't seen any of that. So the point I'm making here is there are no heroes here. There are no good guys. There is nobody fighting to actually do anything. It's a bunch of grandstanding and posturing and pointing the finger and being partisan. But nobody actually wants to tell the truth about what's happening. Nobody wants to say that the corporatists control the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. The establishment is content with the status quo. They're doing fine. The stock market is doing fine. All their rich friends are doing fine. So there is no real incentive for them to pass anything. Nobody wants to tell the truth about that's how the real dynamics in Congress are right now. And also, nobody wants to do anything to change that. So if those two things are true, don't tell me that Bernie Sanders is actually fighting to get a stimulus bill. So this is the state of the discussions for economic relief in this country right now. Fucking nowhere. 7 months and we're still nowhere. Like I said, you remember all that when it was whispering sweet nothings into our ear talking about, oh, don't worry. Oh boy, we're really gonna come out and help you. We gotta pass the CARES Act first. We gotta pass the CARES Act and then everything, all the good stuff. We'll get all the good stuff after. O'Connor was telling you that. Pramila Jayapal was telling you that. AOC, Bernie Sanders, they were telling you that. 7 months later, still nothing and no word of criticism. So this is the state of negotiations when what is likely to happen, which is the Democrats win the White House, they have the Senate, and they have the House. Will they pass another stimulus bill? That's very likely, yeah. Maybe not till February, maybe even March. Who knows? But whatever they do pass, it won't go nearly far enough. At best, what we're looking at is putting more money into the unemployment program and another one-time $1,200 check. Both of those things would have been inadequate if they passed 2 weeks after the CARES Act. It still wouldn't have been enough to address the real economic crisis in this country with millions of people who aren't even eligible for any of those things. 60 million people lost their job, have no income. 40% of all small businesses going to close permanently. None of these things go anywhere near far enough. But like I said, they'll pass this bullshit, not even half measure, not even quarter measure of a stimulus bill. They'll pat themselves on the back. The media will go nuts. And the desperate people in the country will be like, oh, fuck, at least I got another $1,200. And then we'll do this all over again. The money runs out. There'll be ridiculous negotiations in Congress between the Democrats and the Republicans that go nowhere. And they'll just keep kicking the can down the road and hope that while everything burns around everybody, while people's lives are completely destroyed, they just hope that they can kick the can down the road long enough, similar to what they did after the crash in 2008, where they provided a little help for the American people and expected everybody to just be fine with it and just go about their day and go about their lives like nothing ever happened. That's what they're hoping for. Their dream scenario would be the virus is under control, the economy's still devastated, and everybody's and the millions of people who lost everything, the best they can do now is be fucking Uber drivers or some gig worker, some low wage job with absolutely no benefits. That's what they're hoping for. And the way that shit is going right now, looks like that's the way that it's going to shake out. So this is the state of the stimulus. Do not get your hopes up. Do not listen to these people who are trying to string you along and tell you, oh, that stimulus bill is right around the corner. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. That stimulus bill is right around the corner. Don't listen to these people. They're full of shit. They've been full of shit this whole time. Like I've been saying on the show for a while, the only way that anything is going to happen, fuck the one-time $1,200 check. If we're going to get real policies like a UBI, like Medicare for All, only way that's happening is in the streets. The politicians, they left to their own devices, they will do nothing. And the last 7 months have proved it. And the 3 months that are about to come will be further proof. Worst economic crisis in history, and an entire year passed, and all they did was a one fucking corporate scam that was a CARES Act. Giant corporate scam. That's all they did. So, like I said, left to their own devices, they aren't going to help anybody. So, we have to force their hand. We have to go in the streets, shut shit down, shut down businesses, shut down traffic, be outside of their homes, be outside of their office, and business as usual cannot continue until they meet their constituents' demands and actually do their job.